Oh dear, it is not looking good. Last 2 days, there have been 3 articles. One is just breaking at the moment, but there's been 3 articles that have just, you're hanging your head in shame about the industry. The first that you can see here is about Unibet. They have just incurred a £10 million fine from the UK Gambling Commission, and it's all to do with social responsibility and AML licensing failures. This is in relation to Unibet, who at the time were owned by Platinum Gaming, who in turn were owned by Kindred, but now are owned by FDJ. The encouraging side on this is that FDJ have a commitment to get 0% of their profits from gambling harm related revenue streams, which is good. And you hope that this is just a legacy thing. But essentially, Unibet were found guilty of not putting player protection first, not doing due diligence on new signups, and finally, not doing checks on accounts that may have been flagged for terrorist and AML links, and undergoing relevant counter-terrorism credentials for people who had signed up for their account. My main worry about all of this is that the Gambling Commission have been at this company before, and it was only 2 years ago that they were given a £3 million fine, 2.9. But you would like to think that somebody who was fined 2 years ago for £3 million would get their house in order. It doesn't appear to be the case, and now they're being hit with a £10 million fine. I hope who's ever in charge at Unibet pulls their socks up, gets to tackle with this issue and make sure that it doesn't happen again. Quite frankly, they need to up their game when it comes to this sort of stuff, and it doesn't portray the industry in a good light, and it's something that they need to address. The second article, and this is again yesterday, and it's all to do with UK gambling ads that featured Lewis Hamilton and the Chelsea FC logo and their undue influence over children. So let's take a look here, and it's all to do with the Advertising Standards Authorities. They did an investigation following a complaints from members of the public and from researchers, I believe, at the University of Bristol, and they found that the ads that they were displaying, the 2 operators in question were Kwiff and Betway, and they were found to be having undue influence under underage, which again is unacceptable. And sometimes I just wish that the gambling operators would read the room rather than just accept the ruling and comply and pledge to do better. They then went about their usual redress of claiming that Lewis Hamilton has an older profile of fans, that they were surprised about the finding, and that it was no different to XYZ. Read the room, just accept it and pledge to do better. Don't try and weasel your way out of it, and move on. Be positive. The final story is this one, and this is ongoing. Let me just share the screen here. And there seems to have been a pretty major bust over in the States by the FBI, and it's all to do with the NBA and the mafia, who have arrested more than 30 people in illegal gambling crackdown. It seems to be a massive story. It will be progressing, I am sure, and there are some pretty big names that have been dragged into it, as you can see here. Really movie level stuff, this, with special contact lenses and x-ray poker tables to read players' cards. Again, combine these 3 stories and absolutely awful, and hopefully it is another flush out of bad characters and bad actors in the industry, but it is a story that keeps on returning, keeps on coming back. The only saving grace from a UK perspective is that it's not in this marketplace, but we have had examples of sports people being involved in illegal gambling and rigged outcomes, specifically footballers and Newcastle most recently, I guess. So, yeah, really worrying times, really worrying stories, and you just have to wonder, is anybody really going to take charge of this? I'm not talking from the regulatory viewpoint, I'm talking from the operator and the platform systems. They need to start tackling this. They need to start running towards the issue. They are not. They keep on doing their controlled pieces with white papers and statements for investors, but they really need to start engaging. And it's something that I'm not seeing whenever I'm looking at news articles, and it's something that needs to happen. Let's see how this story develops, and I will see you in the next video.